SBI and most of the other subsidiaries in focus, as the merger that we've seen of SBI with the 5 associate banks with itself was a big headline. Sajeev Krishnan, Officiating Managing Director, State Bank of Mysore, now joins in on the show. Thank you very much for being with us. I just want to start off by understanding what kind of scope this merger is going to offer.
What kind of scope for whom? What do you mean by...
For SBI as well as for some of the other subsidiary banks such as yourself. And can you just give us some more details as well regarding the merger of the 5 associate banks with SBI?
Well, I think what we need to get clear, first of all, is what has happened is not the merger. What has happened is the authority that has been given to the State Bank of India to seek permission for a possible merger. So a merger will actually hinge on that permission being granted. So this is only a first stage where negotiations will begin whether we can take it forward. If it does happen, I think it will be a natural progression because we are the same family, we use the same platform, we have reputations between banks. There is no cultural difference between us. So I think it will be a smooth kind of exercise. In terms of opportunities for people, I think there will be a huge reach. In terms of the bank itself, I think if we merge, I think it will be the easiest of the entire banking industry to happen if it does happen. And I also believe that in terms of market share also, we'll become a much, much bigger player with about 1/5 of the banking share with us. All of this, of course, depends on it happening.
Mr. Krishnan, this is Poonam here joining from the Mumbai studio as well. Sir, how do you see your employees, in fact, reacting to this entire news? Because we have seen that the reports do suggest that sometimes the employee integration itself becomes a challenge. How do you see this merger being taken positively by the employees? And also, how do you see overall the merger or the swap ratio turning out? Is there any preliminary discussion on that front?
Not at all. The swap ratio, to answer the second part of your question first, will be determined in the manner that is laid down. There is a set formula, and I think that will be very, very transparently done. But we haven't reached that far. Like I told you, we are only beginning a negotiation on the merger, so we haven't gone that far. On the initial responses of the staff, you are well aware we have 2 categories of people. We have the management staff, which is generally what we call the officers, or the award staff union, comprises of the clerical staff and the sweepers and the security guards and the messengers. Now, in terms of the officers, their associations have not said no to anything. In fact, I suspect that they are quite okay with the entire plan. That will depend on what they have to say when you ask them specifically. But the feedback that I get is they are okay with it. As far as the unions, which I told you is the clerical staff and the subordinate staff, they do have some reservations, and they have been saying that while they have not openly said that it should not happen, but what they have said is taking it more of negotiations and discussions on certain finer points. That is all that is there. But I don't see any kind of issue that will happen that will stall the process.
Right. Also, sir, how do you see the entire cost efficiency? Do you think that post the merger for State Bank of India and within the discussions with SBI as well as with you, do you think that we would actually be seeing some amount of cost efficiency, some amount of integration benefits actually flowing in to the entire consolidated entity?
Absolutely. I think that is one of the biggest advantages. The way I look at it, and I did work at State Bank of Saurashtra while we were merging that. I did a stint at State Bank of Indore too while that had got merged. What we did notice is that the economies of scale, like big zonal offices which are manned by senior people and pretty costly from that point of view, they get economized in such a way that you actually draw the benefits. With all your branches being linked to a zonal office, you have better control in terms of geographies which are covered easily. You don't have scattered branches as is happening in the associate banks now. For example, about our 1,041 branches, we have got about 188 branches scattered all over the country and the rest of them within Karnataka state. So control sometimes does become a problem where people will have to reach out fast and quickly to go and visit these places. Now with the proper thing, I think decentralization will happen very, very efficiently, very effectively. Control will be, I think, much, much better than what it is now.
Okay. Mr. Krishnan, one of the interviews also mentioned that there would be somewhere around 4,000 crore worth of assets overall for State Bank of India, which SBI would actually be getting. Just in terms of SBI Mysore, what is the amount of capital benefits, both via the revaluation reserve or via the entire revaluation? What is the entire capital benefits that may flow just via SBI Mysore to State Bank of India?
That again, I think we are getting a little ahead of the thing. It is true that a bank like State Bank of Mysore does have a lot of assets, fixed assets, and we have been very, very conservative as the State Bank Group always has been. We don't revalue these things that easily. In fact, conservatively we look at it. We haven't really done a revaluation, but State Bank of Mysore for itself does have a lot of landed property, particularly in Bangalore, which may on revaluation be worth quite a bit. But I would be purely guessing, and that wouldn't be fair at all if I were to tell you that kind of value, because we haven't really done a valuation. If we have to do it, then we'll get approved valuers, chartered accountants to look at the value and arrive at it in a very, very transparent kind of manner, and it will be reasonably placed before everybody consents so that they know what has gone on.
Right. And sir, again, in terms of your financials, I do understand that your return ratios are stand at 0.43 in terms of return on asset and an ROE of nearly 6.8%. What within the time frame between now and the merger, assuming it just takes another year, what is the kind of improvement that you actually see happening in terms of your profits as well as in terms of your asset quality?
I think we all do know what has happened to the banking industry, and we do know the pressures that the banks are being subjected to. And what I think came out by the Reserve Bank of India stepping in very sensible, I must say, and talking about the AQR. All of us have done a kind of cleaning up of the balance sheets, and I think the ROA 0.44 actually is low, no doubt. But I think there aren't those kind of shocks that we need to be worried about in the immediate future. I think a hell of a lot of cleaning has happened, and also I think the kind of retirements and other expenses that have happened to the bank in terms of controlling expenses and reducing staff costs, because senior people are retiring, and as you know, senior staff do cost a lot more, and they are being replaced by younger generation who actually cost less. Therefore, in those terms also, and in terms of the fact that we may not have to do as much provisioning or return reversals of interest on new identification of bad assets, I think things should get much, much better.
Right, Mr. Krishnan. Also, can you just clarify for the benefit of your viewers, have you provided entirely for RBI AQR, and what is the entire stress yet that still needs to be recognized in terms of your balance sheet? That means that what is the incremental provisions that you would really have to make on account of the stress on your balance sheet?
First part of the question, easy to answer. In terms of AQR, completely done, as what the RBI has told us to do has been done fully. There is nothing left out of it. In fact, we have only got some benefits to get in one or two accounts because RBI has subsequently upgraded those assets. We have not. So we have been more conservative there. And in terms of the future, I would find it difficult to tell you a number, but if I were to look at it at quarter basis, then I think in the first quarter we may add maybe in terms of provisioning needs about 150 or so crores. This is a wild kind of guess on the basis of the experience and the fact that I sit in that bank, but I think that will be ours. It can't be something that will shake us up.
All right. Mr. Krishnan, just one more question. In terms of your employee integration, now could you just tell us what would be the employee integration cost? Are you as of now providing only for the pensions? Would there be a superannuation provision that SBI would have to take in terms of SBI Mysore? If that is the case, what would be the employee cost that SBI in fact would have to incur further once the merger actually happens?
I'm glad you asked that question. We again, if you look at our balance sheet over the last 2 years, that is March 15 and March 16, you will see, and people have been criticizing a bit, saying that our expenses ratio was too high. But that's on account of the fact that we have done a very serious job of getting the actuarial valuation from these funds, and we've provided more than what is required. And I think there will be no shock at all on that score. There will be no additional shocks at all on that score. We have done a very, very thorough job on the whole thing in the last 2 years. And whatever even the mindless forms of, or mindless amounts of shortfalls have been taken care of fully. So I don't see any problem on that score.
Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/etnow and don't forget to click the like button. You can also follow us on Twitter at etnowlive. To stay updated with all our programming, hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel by logging on to youtube.com/user/etnow.